Oh, wow. Gosh. God, I wasn't expecting to
Good
to
morning,
see
Robert.
that. Hi, how you doing? You all right?
I'm good. Early bird catches the worm. I'm just doing my pre-warm up routine, my friend.
Yeah, pre-record what? God, I didn't
Yeah,
know
man.
you put yourself into those positions. I mean, I recognise the downward dog, but crikey, how do you get your ankles up there?
Yeah, I'm like a pretzel. It's pretty impressive, right? That's 3 years of ballet. That is at drama school.
Is
But can
it?
can you
God.
not get your ankles above your head, or was that a few years ago?
Not in this environment. But what do you do this pre-record all the time? Is this
Every,
a pre-record routine?
every single time, I have to be limber. I have to be supple. I have to be ready for anything you throw at me. Much like this improvisation. Yeah, so it's
Oh
always important.
dear.
Do you
That's
not
good.
stretch? Do you not have a pre-record warm up?
Oh yeah, no, vigorous, vigorous pre-record routine.
Sorry, hold on. Let me
Always.
just let me just get that kneecap back in place. That's quite painful. Slot that back
Oh,
in.
my
Oh,
knees. I can't do anything like that these days. Yes, I always have a little gargle.
okay. Very good. Yeah, no, you're always ready and raring to go.
Always ready. You've got to get the throat lubricated. So, yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, supple. No, I'm good. I'm good. I'm not too bad. It's been bonfire night, so there's been fireworks.
Yes. And tell me, why have you got a scar under your eye?
Yeah. Eagle-eyed listeners will be able to see the scar under my eye. Yeah, so I'm at the cricket club, my cricket club, Coombswood, last Saturday for their annual firework display.
Yeah.
And obviously there's the guy there that sells like plastic light up swords for the kids and
Yes.
the
I
ears
saw
with
that.
and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's just like tat,
Very
plastic tat.
annoying. Yeah. The world does not need that.
Not at all. But some bloke and his kid had one, and the kid was cold, so his dad was holding this sword, and we're sort of in a little circle, and he's standing in front of me, and we're chatting and all this kind of stuff, and he's like helping his son with his coat, and then he was saying, and the fireworks were really good, weren't they? They were like, and then like threw his arm back with said sword in his hand
Yeah.
and impaled me about. I mean, you can see that's like a centimeter, like an inch below my eye.
Yeah.
If that was an inch, I'm in hospital. I'm half
Yeah.
blind. I'm a pirate with a patch on. So a bit of a lucky escape. So I've got this little scar here, but it did help for an audition that I did Sunday. I went up for like an evil sort of like
Oh, yeah.
Cockney like murderer dude, young obviously because I look like a
Yeah.
12-year-old still. So it kind of helped actually because it looked like I'd been rough and
Yeah, a
tumbling.
bit of rough.
Yeah. But
Well, there's
bloody
a few
hell, that
things. A few things to say about that. One is, obviously, on Saturday I was here at the clubhouse where we ban plastic usage,
Yeah.
swords, etc., because we're all about sustainability. We're all about sustainability. But I did go to the Battersea fireworks, big firework display in London yesterday, Sunday. Time of recording, as you always say. And I commented to my friend about all that light up tat that is
Yeah.
being sold with. Oh, it really, really offends me, that shit. Like, in a world of limited resources and supposedly one eye on our future and sustainability, I think shit like that needs banning.
I
No
would
kid
agree.
needs that. No kid needs that. Use your imagination. Buy them something fun, that doesn't need to be, plastic, single-use plastic with LEDs and more batteries in the world. No. I mean, is that really, really what you want to educate your kids as fun?
Yeah, I agree. Single-use tap plastic, and they are. I mean, they are everywhere as well. Like every single. It's only ever usually bonfire nights, firework displays, but they are every single one, and they are a waste of not only money,
No, but fairs and
resources.
winter
Oh yeah,
wonderlands and
Winter
all these
wonderlands
things
as well.
that crop up in which are brilliant. There's so many festivals around the world at the minute, and little spaces being used for all these things. But the entertainment surely, as a parent, is the event that you're at. You don't need to supplement it. You don't need to supplement it with tat like this. And do you know what it is? I mean, I'm not a parent, so I'm going to really make myself hated by parents here. It's laziness. It's laziness, and it's the inability just to say no and educate them that they don't need that. They don't need that. We're here. We're having a lovely time. You're with your mum, your aunties, your uncles, your sisters. Let's play around. Let's use our imaginations, and then we'll enjoy the fireworks. And I've also spent a bloody fortune getting you in here, and I've just bought you an unnecessary Fruit Loopy drink at £4 a piece. You're having some crap candy floss as well at 10. Like, you do not need single-use plastic light-up toys.
Where are you from again? The north?
I really do. I think, like, seriously,
I agree.
set an example to your children by not buying them shit.
Yeah, and it is shit, and they are single-use, because you ain't using them again.
No.
At all. You're not using them again.
They'll be bored of it before you get home. It'll be discarded in a pile somewhere at home.
It'll be impaled on quite a good-looking professional actor at a cricket club, and he might lose his eye. So yeah, it's pretty bad. But so there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's our 2 cents from Robert this morning, whenever you're listening. Yeah. Do not buy single-use plastic swords and toys for your children.
Can you tell that we're both mildly irritable today?
Oh, yeah, I am. We've had a day. I've had emails from...
We're both joined slightly irritable today, so I'm glad. It's great to see you, because you always de-irritate me.
Do I?
Yeah, you do, yeah.
It's completely opposite for me and you. You irritate me to within a... Why do we do this? No, I'm joking. No, it's true. It's very good.
But as you were, I was surprised when I walked in to see you in that Lululemon Lycra outfit doing your various yoga poses.
It's a great way to start the day. Some sun salutations, my friend.
Yeah, very good.
One of the few things that drama school taught me that was good.
Yeah, that was a great part of drama school, actually. Speaking of routines, we're talking about routines and superstitions today, but actually at drama school we used to do half an hour of yoga every morning. Bloody great was.
We did, yeah.
Great.
But like in the winter, you used to get in at 7:30 in the morning. You're still asleep. You're still a student.
Wrapped up in your scarf and your...
Yeah, and then you get there and you lie on the floor and then you're doing Pebble of Sound, which is what we used to do. Did you ever do that, Pebble of Sound?
No, I never met them.
They supported Mud on their latest tour. No, so you lie on the floor and then it's all about diaphragm breathing and all that kind of stuff. And you imagine that you're dropping a pebble on a very still pool. And
nice.
The ripple of your exhale, I think, is the ripples of the Pebble of Sound. Now, at 7:30 in the morning, I've had 2 hours sleep because I was obviously up all night because I'm a student. You just fall asleep for half an hour, don't you?
I know.
Good,
but there's value in that. At least they know you're getting some sleep then.
I'm being glib. But no, they were very good. The yoga,
it was a great part of it.
We should really do yoga every day. It's incredibly good for you.
Yeah,
really
it really is. Great for the old stretch. And stretching is a big part of longevity, they've researched.
Yeah, it is. I had a housemate who did it every morning. It was really irritating because he was just showing us up every day. And I'm like, I'm just going to have a cup of tea and a cigarette and you're going to do like 4 hours of yoga before you do your day. And I'm like, okay, I feel bad. You're just making me feel bad.
But we're talking about this because Joe Marler obviously this week just gone rather disrespectfully said that the hacker, the Kiwi pre-match routine should be binned.
Which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Which he's gone on to retire from international rugby this week. I don't think the two are connected, or are they? He's got a successful podcast, and maybe he just wanted to raise a bit of attention towards his podcast. But and it got us thinking, didn't it, about pre-match routines /or superstitions.
Yeah, I mean they're actually quite in terms of work. They're actually quite an integral part of my pre-show.
Are they?
Yeah, like
talk us through your pre-show routines.
Well, I've got a little bit better, but when I started out, if I hadn't done, I mean, you're just going to find out I've got OCD, really, aren't you? No, I haven't really. It was very important. It would come down to music choice before going on stage.
Yeah,
it would come down to order in which I put my costume on.
Really?
Yeah, big time. It would be order of what I ate as well. Eating is really important before going on stage. If I ate something maybe a bit too heavy, I'd be gone for the rest of the show. That's not really routine. That's just kind of looking after. But I also used to do this really weird thing. Is it weird? So the audience, so you do warm up. Everyone does a warm up at the show, right?
Well, not everyone.
Not everyone, no. Then you go back to your changing room, whatever, dressing room, and then you're getting ready. The half's called, then 15 minutes, then 5 minutes, then beginners, whatever. At beginners, I would always go to stage at the 5-minute call and find somewhere on stage that was as close to the audience I could get without being seen.
So either right behind the curtain, so you could see the audience or just
No,
sense
I
them?
couldn't see them. So I would go. So if I was in a play with a curtain and the stage
Yes,
had a curtain,
straight behind
I
the
would
curtain.
stand with my nose touching the curtain for about a
Wow.
minute. I know it's really weird. For about a minute and just feel the. This is so wanky. This is when I was fresh out of drama school. So I would feel the energy of the room and the audience, and then I would take 5 or 6 deep breaths, turn around, and go back.
Well,
I
I
would
think
also
that's quite
usually
interesting.
I would also usually do my longest speech that I would have to do in the play,
Yeah.
and do it there with my nose touching the. So in Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, we didn't have a curtain, but I would stand at the back of the stage, back of the set, with my nose pressed against the back wall,
Yeah.
and do his opening monologue, and then the monologue where he's in London and all that kind of stuff. I would do those speeches, then I would feel ready to go on stage. I used to do it for every show, every single show.
Well, I think there's a lot of sense in that because I imagine it was a bit about equalising you in the space a little bit, being present with the energy that the audience are giving you some focus, getting rid of the energy of your day, much like us now, a bit sort of both a bit tired and irritable for some reason. But then when you're into it and, you know, having done your yoga, I'm sure you're now much more present, equalised, and, you know, ready to take on the world.
I think
That's really interesting.
I think it started as I did it at drama school. I did it for Cabaret and City
Did
of
you?
Angels. Yeah, when you directed me. I think it started as just a way to sort of. It would be to do those speeches before, because obviously, especially at drama school, you only do 4 or 5 performances.
Yeah.
And when you're doing them to an audience that's, you know, got 5 or 6 agents or casting directors in, it's quite a lot of pressure. So I would just remind myself that I know the lines, and I remind myself that I know what I'm about to do, and all I'm going to do is do it again in a minute with a few people looking at me. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of a nerves thing, but as I kind of carried on in my career, it became this sense of, oh, okay, I'm here, I can hear the audience, God, they're loud tonight, maybe that'll adjust to this or whatever. And I would just sense the room, and it would be, you know, 2 or 3 minutes of just me taking in the space and taking in the noise and all that kind of stuff, and then I'd feel ready to go and do it. I sort of don't do it as much anymore. I think I only do it press nights now, maybe, press the first couple of nights.
Yeah.
And then I don't really need to do it anymore because I'm old and wise and...
Can't be asked.
Well, just sort of wounded by the monotony of the industry, probably.
Was there any part of it in the early days that was pretension?
No, I don't think so. I just felt like, again, it started like, right, let me just run my lines again. Let me just have a couple of minutes to myself.
Yeah.
I never felt like I was like, oh, people need to know that I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, Jack's doing his thing again. It was never anything. I didn't want people to know I was
want to
doing
be quite
it.
a private thing.
Yeah, it was like my little moment of, okay, I'm here, I'm going to take in the space, I know what I'm doing. But yeah, I didn't, and I think if people did see me doing it, I would feel a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a personal, private thing for me to do, you know, my lines in front of, you know, for myself, and, you know, taking the
Rub
space.
rub your nose up against an old, undry clean curtain that's...
Playing some dodgy theatres as well. The one in Brighton stank.
Oh, yeah. God, it's got leaks and all sorts.
Yeah,
it's really underinvested. That's interesting. If I'm doing stage stuff, I do want to be in the wings. If I'm doing stage stuff, no matter whether I'm on in the first scene or not on in the first scene, I will always come into the wings for the opening of the show. It's just, I think it's something really important. It's about my professionalism as much as anything, to be present and establish myself as part of the show the moment it opens, even if, you know, my first scene is 2 scenes in or whatever. I would want to be there to demonstrate, or even if I was, you know, not onto the second act for whatever reason, I'd be down there to say I'm here, I'm present. And it's amazing how many actors don't do that, and how many times it's been commented on by other actors going, oh, you know, it's lovely that you come down at the start. Because often, you know, it might just be one actor on stage and they've got a bit of company, or there's just 2 and you can have a good gossip about the day. I like that sort of part of it. I was on tour with Julian Clary recently, and he opened the show sat on a stool on his own, and so he was the only one who was ever really called at the start of the play. But I would always go down and have a really nice chat with him before the show. And because Julian's got a weird aversion to sitting on any seats that are warm, he can't stand sitting on a warm chair. If someone's vacated a chair and someone else sits on it, he can't stand it. So sometimes, every now and then, to be a bit mischievous, I would sit on the stool and then just as he was coming in, get off, and then I'd be like, your stool's warm, what are you going to do? You can't do anything, you've got to open the plate. And he'd be really irritated, a bit in a fun way. Yeah. But it's really interesting that, I mean, there are lots of sort of sporting superstitions out there, aren't there? That,
Well,
very
do you have any
famous
for
ones.
sport? I have some for sport as well.
Do you? What do you do for sport?
So when I played for Brent down in London, football
Yeah.
team, which I will hopefully join again when I move back down because I loved it there.
Yeah.
If they'll have me, because I'm probably not as good a footballer as I was. The stretching routine would have to be the same every single time. So you're doing, and I still do it now. I'm playing football tonight at time of recording. I will do exactly the same. Calf, left calf, right calf, left groin, right groin, back onto your back, pigeon stretch, which you won't know, left leg, pigeon stretch, right leg, then back up, quads, left and right, and then, have I missed one out? Yeah, I think that's it. I would always do exactly the same. I always do exactly the same. And I don't know why, it's just sort of routine, really. And also, a banana, I'd always eat a banana before playing football, always.
So, would you make, I mean, there is, but for you, would you make a distinction between a routine and superstition?
If I didn't do that routine, I would feel incredibly uncomfortable. I remember going back to work, I remember not doing my nose up against the back of the stage for Curious Incident and not running the lines. When I came to do those speeches, they were awful. Because I felt like it was really weird. I'm maybe being a bit harsh on myself, but it felt very uncomfortable because they weren't sort of, I don't know, it's just sort of the routine I had, but I felt like I hadn't embodied them that day. And I feel like as a service to my performance and for the audience, I feel like if I'm saying it for the first time that night and I haven't really worked through, even like months into the run, because there were quite tricky speeches. If I hadn't done it beforehand, I would feel very nervous about doing the speech again. And then, it would be really important for me to do it before and then do it again. But if I didn't do it, it would be weird.
And I think that's at the heart of it, isn't it? I think that is the heart of why you see in sport and, as you've described, in performance, that there is association with, often for people with success and routine. So if they've put in a routine in place, then they associate that. And this is where the research sits, that they then associate that routine with setting themselves up for potential success. And an absence of that routine can destabilize the kind of controllables that you're in charge of, and that you feel more open and victim to the potential uncontrollables of sport. So it's about, and Rafa Nadal talks about this, who's infamously got lots of different routines from, bouncing the ball, the towel wiping, which so many tennis players do now, the towels, the adjusting the hair, the pulling the shorts out of his arse, all these things. And infamously, the one he really is really odd and unique is he arranges the water bottles in very specific places around his seat, with labels facing in a certain direction, and he won't let a player cross after him. So at changeovers, he always waits for the other player to cross before he'll go to his seat.
Yeah, correct.
So that's a lot that he's doing. But for him, when interviewed, he said it's not about being OCD, it's about him controlling certain factors and creating an environment that he feels comfortable in around him.
Well, you
that
just
was
said
for
it, and I
him
was
about
gonna
setting
say,
up success.
It is about comfort. He's about to go into, and it's the same, with anyone's routine, be it theatre or sport. It's about feeling comfortable because you're about to do something that requires quite a lot of focus, energy. There's a lot of pressure involved. Standing in front of people, standing in front of an audience, standing in front of a show court at Wimbledon, and it's about feeling comfortable. And that comfort comes from control. I can't control what the audience are going to do tonight. He can't control what his opponent is going to do tonight. But he can control his controllables, which gives him that sense of comfort, which then allows him to perform at the best of his ability. Nobody works under pressure when they're not comfortable, when they're not feeling safe and secure and all those kind of things. So it's mad how important those routines and those superstitions are. But how weird would you feel if you didn't go down to stage for the first line of the play, even though you're not in it, and then you just came down for your scene? I mean, I'm not like that. I wait for my first scene, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Just so I can play PlayStation in my dressing room a little bit longer. But
I don't think for me that was a superstition. That was for me about a routine and a sort of sense of professionalism as I understood it, just to be, and also to be present and involved and feel like I'm engaged in a company. I mean, definitely when I was reffing to a high level, there was an expectation, but I absolutely always wanted to be there at least 1 hour before kickoff, ideally longer. And if for whatever reason there was traffic, or I remember being very irritable with my dad sometimes because he was running late and he would come to all my games with me. And if I got there, and I was in the dressing room 58 minutes before kickoff, I'd be stressed. I'd be really frustrated. I mean, I'm fastidious on timekeeping anyway, but really destabilised me, and I had to really work through to get stabilised. And part of that hour was around getting comfortable with the environment, walking around the pitch, doing my warm-up on the pitch, just feeling that I can decompress to focus, a bit like you'd mentioned before with your nose routine. But I think, I mean, it's different, isn't it, to some superstitions that sports people have. I mean, there are definitely some, there's been through history a lot of footballers and goal scorers who'll put on like a left sock first, and if they don't put on a left sock first, they think the world's going to end, or they got to eat the same meal beforehand, because the day that often it starts because the day they did it, they were successful. They did it for the first time, so they're like, I better do that again, and then they found themselves then, irrespective of success or otherwise, in a pattern that they can't break. Which is, I mean, there's some fun ones. Like, I think Serena Williams bounces the ball 5 times on her first serve. That's probably more in the control category. That's about mind setting and routine. I read that, do you remember Colatore? Apparently he always used to be out of the dressing room last. He had to be out of the dressing room last.
Wow.
To the extent that he once missed the first minute of a second half because an injured player was being tended to and helped out who wasn't even playing in the second half, but he couldn't leave until that player had left the dressing room. And he was a minute late for kickoff.
That's a bit extreme, but I can understand what he's saying, though. I mean, you mentioned timing as well. If I'm not at the theatre a long time before, it really quite freaks me out, actually. I can't get... So, say if the call is 6 o'clock for warm-up, I know people would walk in at 5:58, drop their bag, and walk onto stage for warm-up.
Oh, I couldn't do it.
There's no way I can do that. I literally... When it's dark as well, when it's starting to get dark, which it is now in November, I would leave my flat in Queen's Park at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, even though my call was 6 o'clock in the evening. I'd get a slow bus into town, get there for 3, then I'd get some food, but I'd get into the theatre before it got dark, because it would just... But there's something about being in the theatre, and I think, again, it comes down to feeling comfortable, and it's more of a control thing, and being in the space, and kind of, okay, I'm at work now. But timing's really, really important. I don't know about superstitions, though. I don't think I have too many, like, this has to happen, otherwise we're screwed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't really have... I used to be quite... Oh, well, I did have a little one in Evan. I would have to have a peppermint tea before going on stage. Because in my head, for some reason, it settles my stomach. So if I was nervous, I didn't need my stomach settled. But I would get into a routine, and if I didn't have a peppermint tea, if I couldn't taste the peppermint tea in my first scene, I would feel odd. I'm like, I'm going to have a shit show today.
Yeah.
That's a bit
I
weird.
think that's the problem, isn't it? Is when you make an irrational association with something.
Yeah.
There's tea in your stomach, peppermint flavour in your mouth has no correlation to execution.
Yeah.
But
you have to be careful, don't you, I suppose, because you don't want to tie yourself in knots and kind of rely on things that actually in reality aren't reality principles at all, and they're not going to infect anything that you're doing.
Yeah. Like apparently Michael Jordan wore his college basketball shorts under his professional shorts because he'd started it early on in his career, and it was important to, he'd associated it with success and luck. And so when he carried it into his professional career, which I don't know if this is true or not, was then credited with the loose-fitting basketball shorts that have become our derriere, because
cool.
they started making bigger shorts for him to put over his shorts, and that became the iconic look. Now, whether that is true or not, I don't know. But
famously, that links to Space Jam. Have you seen Space Jam?
Oh God, you've talked about this before, Space Jam. I've never seen the movie.
So he asks Bugs Bunny. He's like, I need my sneakers and I need my shorts and I need my jacket and my lucky bag to be able to play in this game that they're playing. So that links to the film.
Oh, so maybe you did have a
Basketball
lot of
I
yeah.
got a basketball jump. What a tune. So yeah, he's like, I can't play without them. So maybe that is true.
But it made me. I mentioned that because I think a lot of sports stars and indeed performers can get into a like not washing or something. You know, if they were successful in something and then they're like, right, I can't wash that because that was my successful vest or sock or pant, whatever it might be. Then you start getting into dangerous territory, don't you?
Yeah, that's. I don't think I've had many of those, but yeah, that is dangerous territory. I used to hate it when my this is gonna sound gross. I used to hate it when my costume was washed. Actually,
Did you?
yeah, because the next time I put it on, it wouldn't feel like it was mine anymore, the characters anymore.
Wow.
Because it's like it doesn't. It is quite weird, but it's like it doesn't.
Is that when your castmates started insisting on having separate dressing rooms?
Yeah, that's really weird. Yeah, it's really weird. I just feel like they're not my clothes anymore. I don't know, like, because you only wear them for for some of them, you only wear them for 10 minutes in a scene or less than that. But the more and more you wear them, the more and more you embody them. When you wash them, they become sort of factory reset again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like they
understand.
wouldn't be my character's clothes anymore. I had a lot of that in Evan because I had so many costumes in Evan, and it felt really uncomfortable when they were washed, and then I'd put them on, and then I'd have to like sort of re-stretch them again and make them mine again and fit them again. It was the same in Warhorse. I mean, I only had 2 costumes in Warhorse, but when I got changed out of my farm clothes into Albert's military garb, it just felt really odd. I don't know, it just felt very odd.
Yeah.
Clothes are really important. Costume is important to any actor. But football boots as well, man. Like, laces for me are important.
Right.
If I don't have the right laces on my boots, game over. I remember playing a match once and my laces snapped halfway through the game. It was a shit tackle, man. He got one of his studs. He's literally come over the ball onto my foot, and then one of his studs has got caught in my laces, and then he's ripped the lace off. I was fuming. He didn't even get a yellow card over. Absolutely fuming. So they snapped, and then I had to wear somebody else's laces, and one was white, one was black. Felt awful, man.
Yeah.
It was like, no, those are my laces. I needed those.
Well, I don't know if this is routine, OCD, or just plain gay, but I infamously wouldn't do PE at infant school because my vest and pants under my clothes weren't matching. And I went home to mum and dad and I was like, I need to wear matching pants and vests. I've got to wear matching pants and vests. Because I wouldn't get unchanged. This is back in the day when school children were basically stripped off to their pants and pants and vest and go into the gymnasium to run around.
What were the 3 options you gave? OCD, routine, or gay?
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to guess, but
I think it was an early sign. But to this day, I need to coordinate my pants and socks. I can't, say I'm wearing black jeans.
Yeah.
I wouldn't wear navy blue pants. They'd have to be black, white, or grey because navy blue and black doesn't go together.
That's OCD born out of your sexuality, I would say. So a bit of both.
I can't leave the house. Yeah, I think OCD is probably overstating it in that I think that's probably quite a debilitative condition. But a bit like David Beckham talks about this, doesn't he? But he's he's got a lot of anal traits around order and things. I can't leave the house without my bed being made and the cushions plumped on my bed. There's no way I could leave my bedroom for the day and come back to that. But it's odd that
we all have these little foibles to give us some sense of control in a world that is actually very much out of that control.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that, that's why we were talking about it today, but in pressurized circumstances, as either an actor or a sportsman or sportswoman, they're integral to performance. And it's mad how the human psyche needs to feel that level of comfort, that level of security and safe and familiarity. It's like, when I travel around the world, not that I've traveled for a while, but if I'm working abroad, I have to have things that will remind me of that safety and comfort of home. Be that...
Do you?
Not like a teddy bear or anything, but
For friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Some more
Cost
friends.
me a fortune.
Yeah, it did.
What about pre-show poos or peas?
Really, really, really important. Really, really important. Like, I'm not even joking, really important. If I'm not empty before going on stage, we're not having a good time, mate.
It's such a horrible. But I mean, I think obviously there's a lot around adrenaline in your body. I think there's a sort of physiological response to adrenaline
Well, that's how it works. So
Yeah.
here's some physiological. Here's Dr. Lockle's physiology lecture. So in the wild, when we were animals, and animals still do that now. Horses do it a lot. When we were animals, when you get a bunch of adrenaline, your body goes into fight or flight potentially. So
Yeah.
what it tries to do is it tries to empty itself, make itself lighter, so you can run or fight quicker or harder
really?
or faster. That's why your bowels and your bladder are very linked to your nervous system. So your body is in the prime condition for it to be either fighting or freezing or running away or whatever and that stuff. It activates the fight or flight response. That's what adrenaline is. That's why you need a poo. I mean, every time I go on stage, I instantly need a wee, regardless of if I had one anyway. The first chord and I'll wee time. I need a pee.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I can't now. I've got to wait until stage. Curious Incident was the worst. I never left the stage. Christopher never left the stage. If I needed a wee on stage, that was it. Game over. I need to have... there's no way I can leave unless I pause the show for a minute, which I felt like doing once, just for lols. Just pause the show and go for a wee. But yeah, it's all to do with your physiology in animals. That's why horses, I know a lot about horses because of Warhorse. I should be irritated more. I'm talking a lot today. I do apologise. Horses, because they're prey animals, when they're running away, they stop every quarter mile, piss themselves or have a poo, and then they turn around, look if the predator's still there, then they carry on running for another quarter mile, stop, pee, poo, if they need it still, turn around, and then carry on running.
What, like efficiently a quarter of a mile?
It's always a quarter mile. Yeah, quarter mile apparently.
So horses know the imperial measuring system.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, that's what they taught me at the household cavalry.
Surely a furlong, not a. It's got to be a couple of furlongs rather than a quarter of a mile.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably a relationship between miles and furlongs. They've got to be. Interesting.
Do you need to poo? Do you need to poo before the show?
Definitely high on the pee. I mean, like when I played touch rugby, like always running off to the bushes pre-show, pre-match, and probably for the reasons that you described. Even when I know, it's not like my bladder's full. It's just a tiny little pee, like a dog cocking against a lamppost.
It's a dribble of wee, but that dribble is really important. Really important. A mate of mine, actually, who I used to play football with, he would piss like a fucking racehorse, like gallons and gallons of piss before every single match. And like if there was a foul or an injury, he'd run off and have another piss.
Wow.
Because he'd just piss and piss and piss and piss.
That sounds like...
But yeah, that is a thing. I always find that this is important when I move. So you do your tech week, right? You move into the theatre the first time. You get your dressing room sorted. I always find the toilet I can do a poo in.
Oh yes, which has got to be somewhere remote, ideally.
Correct, because and there are some. I'm not going to name names, but in every show I've ever done, there's obviously toilets next to dressing rooms, right? Because obviously, when the building's built, it's comfort, right? It's basically having an ensuite around the corner.
Yeah.
No, you do not have a poo on that in there.
No.
Now, there's some mad men and women in the industry who think that it's absolutely acceptable to have a poo in that toilet, and then it permeates throughout the whole floor, and there's like 4 dressing rooms on that floor.
But do you know what I think's going on in that situation? It's someone who's on a different floor or a techie coming to do exactly what you're describing, which is to go away and find one not near them. And so everybody is doing that. But ideally what you're suggesting, and I agree, you've got to find the universally remote toilet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine was on the top floor at the Noel Coward. I would have a poo in there every time. Every single time. I would walk front of house, walk all the way up the steps, find that toilet, have a lovely little poo.
What, front of house?
Oh, yeah, I always poo front of house. Before the show, obviously, not during the show. That'd be weird. I don't pop out at the interval. All right, guys, I'm just having a shit.
Do some autographs and have a poo. That's interesting. I mean, very good. I didn't anticipate we'd get to that place in that conversation, but it's insightful nonetheless. I was just thinking other... I was thinking of other famous sort of sports superstitions or routines that I can remember. I definitely remember Laurent Blanc kissing the head of Fabian Barthez in France '98. He did that. Do you remember, like pre-match, which obviously worked. They went all the way to the final in that one.
Did they win it? Did Brazil win it, or did they win it? France won it, right?
France 98. France won.
France won it, yeah.
Home win.
I was only 6. Sorry, Rob.
Sorry?
I was only 6. Sorry, Rob. I don't remember it.
Can you think of any other ones?
No.
Great. Good.
I know a lot of people who... How are you about... So a lot of people in the industry smoke, right?
I've
a lot
never
of people...
smoked.
Have you never? Never?
No.
Okay. I know a lot of people, if they don't have a cigarette before going on stage, they're out. They're not. That's like their 30 seconds of luck.
Yeah, and that's a
And then
bit about, that's therapy and relaxation for a lot of people, isn't it? I mean, I don't know if I believe it or there's any medical support to the idea that having a cigarette relaxes you. I suppose it might do, but a lot of smokers will tell you that, right?
Yeah, that's true. I would.
Oh, it just relaxes me. I need it. It just relaxes me.
Which it doesn't.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure that's true. Although it does make you poo, doesn't it? Not to bring this back again. So maybe there is a relaxing quality to it.
Yeah, probably.
Like coffee.
Cup of tea and a cup of coffee and a cigarette. That gets the bowels moving.
Great. Well, how insightful.
We've just started talking about bowel movements. Like, is there anything else we could finish on a better note?
In quite a segue, what I will say is one routine I'm very committed to is voting in every election that I face. And as this episode goes out, the USA is going to the polls. I mean, they've been going for weeks, but maybe I just hope and pray it's time for Kamala. And when we come together next week in the clubhouse, we might be toasting the first woman president of the United States.
I'm really nervous, man.
I don't think it's going to happen to you.
No, I think Trump.
He's back.
He's going to do it.
I think he's back.
But let's not get too political. But the whole presidential system will change. He's going to change everything. Google Project 2025. It's terrifying.
It's mad. That's the scary bit, and it doesn't seem to have been talked about enough, in my opinion. No. But
anyway,
that's a routine worth sticking to, guys. And for any American listeners out there, make sure you go vote today, folks.
Yeah, vote, guys. Vote. So yeah, I'm going to carry on with my my stretching routine. Actually.
Oh, well, I'll leave you to it.
I think I need to open up my chest. Open up my chest.
Okay, good. Well, I shall leave you to that, and have a lovely week, and I'll see you same time, same place next week.
Bye, Rob.